Be honest, ever since you started dating her, your world has been shrinking? Not dramatically, not overnight. Just slowly, silently, like something being taken from you in the dark. You used to have friends. You used to have weekends. You used to have a life that didn't revolve around checking your phone to make sure she wasn't upset. But ever since this narcissistic girlfriend became the center of your universe, your circle has been fading, one friend, one plan, one piece of you at a time. You cancel plans without hesitation. You second-guess your conversations. You hesitate before laughing too loudly without her there. And when someone asks, "When was the last time you actually saw your friends?" your mind goes blank, and that silence is the answer. Most men think this happens naturally. Life changes. People grow apart. But what if you didn't grow apart? What if you were guided apart? Gently, subtly, strategically? Because isolation is not an accident in a relationship with a narcissistic woman. It is the foundation. In this video, we'll break down exactly how she did it, how she framed it as love, wrapped it in concern, and left you on an island she controls. Welcome to the isolation tactic. Here's the truth most men don't realize until it's too late. Isolation isn't an accident, it's architecture. A narcissistic girlfriend doesn't cut you off because she's jealous of your friends. Jealousy is just the surface. What she really needs is control. And control is only possible when you have nowhere else to turn for reality, reassurance, or perspective. When your support system disappears, her voice becomes the only voice. Her version of events becomes the truth by default. Her approval becomes the oxygen you breathe. In the absence of your friends, you no longer have mirrors, only her reflection of you. And over time, you start believing her more than you believe yourself. You question your memory, your value, your instincts. You slowly reconfigure your identity to match what she rewards and avoid what she punishes. A man who stands alone is easy to bend. A man surrounded by connection cannot be owned. That is why isolation comes first. It never begins with a command. No healthy woman starts a relationship by saying, "Stop seeing your friends." And a narcissist, especially a clever one, knows better than to push that hard, that fast. So she chooses something softer, something sweeter, something that feels like care. It sounds like, "I love your friends, really. I just feel like they don't value you the way I do." Or, "I hate seeing them make jokes about your salary. You deserve respect." She frames herself as your protector, not your warden. She plants doubt, not orders. And because it comes wrapped in tenderness, you don't see the poison in the sugar. Here's where the psychology deepens. She doesn't need to prove your friends are bad. She just needs you to wonder if they might be. Once doubt exists, your brain does the rest. Confirmation bias kicks in. You begin noticing small things you never cared about before. Tone, sarcasm, harmless jokes. Suddenly, every interaction feels like a test, like you're scanning for disrespect even when none exists. And when you come home uneasy, she's right there to hold you. To say, "See, they don't appreciate you like I do." And it feels comforting, even loyal, because she hasn't taken anything from you. Yet. She's simply positioned herself as the only one who truly sees your worth. But in reality, she isn't protecting you from your friends. She's protecting her future power by weakening every bond except the one she controls. This is isolation disguised as love, the softest poison. And once it enters your system, everything else begins to rot slowly, quietly, invisibly. When gentle doubt isn't enough, the strategy escalates. Welcome to triangulation, the stage where she stops hinting and starts dividing. Instead of pulling you away from your friends directly, she introduces tension between you and them, not with force, with narrative. Method A, the flirt and freeze. She laughs too hard at one friend's jokes, touches his arm a second too long, acts a little too warm. You notice, but when you question it, She flips the frame instantly. So now I can't even be friendly? I was trying to get along with your friends for you. You leave feeling guilty and strangely suspicious of him, not her. Later, she adds fuel quietly. He made me uncomfortable when you went to the bathroom. I didn't want to tell you. One seed and the friendship dies on its own. Method B. The quiet slander. She waits until you're relaxed, open, vulnerable. Then the whisper. Dave told me you're whipped. I defended you because he was out of line. Maybe he said it. Maybe she invented it. It doesn't matter, you believe her, because she sleeps in your bed and he only texts once a week. And now the isolation accelerates without a single demand spoken out loud. She doesn't need to pull you away from your friends, she just needs to make you think they've already stepped back. A fractured circle is easy to collapse. Divide them, distract you, replace what they were. That is triangulation, and it works. By the time you've drifted from your friends, the dynamic shifts. She's no longer the gentle voice of concern, she becomes the center of your universe. This is where isolation stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like love. She frames it beautifully. It's you and me against the world. No one understands our connection like we do. We don't need anyone else, we're enough, right? And if you hesitate, even for a moment, she doesn't argue. She wounds. She might pout, withdraw, or whisper something sharp. I thought I was your best friend. Suddenly, choosing one harmless night out feels like betrayal. You're not just skipping plans, you're breaking a vow you never knew you made. But here's the darker layer beneath the romance. This phase isn't about love, it's about ownership. To keep you loyal, she introduces an unpredictable cycle: affection, withdrawal, affection again, a hit of warmth, followed by cold absence. This is intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that creates gambling addiction. You stay because sometimes the reward is beautiful and you hope it comes back. Meanwhile, slowly, pieces of you fade. You stop telling jokes she doesn't laugh at. You stop pursuing interests she doesn't validate. You shrink, tighten, fold yourself small so you can fit inside her orbit. She doesn't want a partner, she wants a planet with one moon. And she needs you close enough to never see beyond her gravity. At this stage, she doesn't need to pull you away from your friends anymore. You've already stepped back now, she just has to make sure you never step forward again. Here's how it happens. Every time you try to see someone outside the relationship, something goes wrong, not occasionally, consistently. Right before you leave, her voice gets shaky, her eyes glass over, or she drops a crisis like a grenade. My stomach hurts. Can you just stay with me tonight? I had a terrible fight with my mom. I need you. Wait, you're still going? I feel like you don't care about us. If you go, you're punished. Cold silence, a slammed door, or an emotional war that erases any joy you felt during the night out. Your nervous system learns the pattern faster than you consciously do. Friends equals conflict. Friends equals guilt. Friends equals pain. And eventually, without meaning to, without deciding to, you stop going. Not because you don't miss them, not because you've moved on, but because the cost is too high. A few hours of freedom is never worth the emotional aftermath waiting for you at home. This is Pavlovian conditioning, a behavioral loop that trains you like a dog responding to a bell. She doesn't need to forbid anything. She just teaches your brain that peace only exists when you stay inside her world. And so, you trade connection for quiet. You trade friendships for safety. You trade yourself for her approval. It's easy to label her behavior as jealousy, but jealousy is only the surface ripple. The real engine beneath isolation is much darker, much older, and far more fragile. A narcissistic girlfriend builds control because she doesn't trust love to stay unless she cages it. Behind the confidence is a core of shame, the belief that without constant attention, admiration, or validation, she will be abandoned or forgotten. Control becomes her solution. Possession becomes her comfort. She doesn't isolate you to hurt you. She isolates you to survive her own internal fear. Psychologists call this abandonment trauma. often rooted in early emotional instability, inconsistent affection, or praise that depended on performance rather than presence. She learned early that love is conditional, and she replicates that pattern with you. If you're close, she feels safe. If you pull back, she feels threatened. If friends come in, they become competition. Your social circle threatens the reality she needs to maintain the fantasy where she is irreplaceable, morally superior, and endlessly desired. Friends reflect the truth she cannot tolerate, that you once lived a full life without her, that you could again, so she cuts the mirrors out of the room until all you see is her. Not because she loves you deeply, but because she fears you deeply. And losing control terrifies her more than losing you. Escaping narcissistic isolation doesn't start with confrontation, it starts with clarity. You don't have to burn bridges, make announcements, or fight your way out. You just have to remember who you were before she became your entire world. Start small. Text one old friend, not to explain, just to reconnect. Revisit one hobby you abandoned even for 10 minutes. Remind your nervous system what joy feels like without permission. Set micro boundaries instead of dramatic exits. I'll call you after I get back. I'm spending this afternoon on my own. Each small act of autonomy weakens the control loop she built, not by force but by re-expanding your world. Reclaiming yourself is not a sprint. It's a return. A return to conversation instead of silence, to community instead of dependency, to identity instead of reflection. You don't escape isolation by fighting her. You escape by rebuilding you. If any part of this felt like someone quietly reading your memories back to you, pause here, breathe, and hear this clearly. You're not weak for staying. You're not foolish for trusting. You're human, and humans hold on when they love. Isolation convinces you that your world shrank because you failed, but the truth is simpler and heavier. You didn't lose your life, it was slowly taken out of your hands. Yet tonight, something shifted. A light came on in a room you thought was forever dark. Maybe small but real. And if you follow that light, one message, one boundary, one reconnection at a time, you will feel your world stretch open again. You'll hear laughter return, inside and outside your own head. You'll realize the island was never permanent, just temporary, just constructed, and you can walk off it step by step. If this helped you see your situation more clearly, hit subscribe so you don't walk this road alone. And if you're ready, or even if you're not, drop a comment below. Tell your story. Someone out there needs to see they're not the only one.